My brother's child hurled my birthday cake to the floor, snarling, "Eat it off the ground." I uttered not a single word. Later that night, my mother texted, "We've decided to sever all contact. Stay away permanently." My brother endorsed it. I answered, "I'm pulling my name from all loans tomorrow." Before midnight, the group chat exploded. 53 unanswered calls. Can you believe your own mother would text you to sever all contact? With my brother hitting like on it. All because I finally said no? That night, after years of being the family ATM, I realized I was done being the mop. Done, forever. My name's Alex. I'm 33. For as long as I can remember, I've been the older brother, the long-haul truck driver who knows every diner off I-80 by the smell of its fryer. I sleep in my cab more than I sleep in a bed. I keep a thermos of black coffee, a paper atlas, and a tiny notebook where I track miles, fuel, and little reminders, like call tire place in Omaha. In my family, they called me the mover, the fixer, the one with big shoulders. Sounds flattering, right? Until you realize it just means mule. Mom always said I was born serious. Dad used to brag that I could back a trailer into a space the size of a shoebox. My little brother, Ethan, though, he was the opposite. Flashy, loud, allergic to anything boring. He'd make messes and then spin them into these grand adventures, and people would laugh. Mom would just beam, "Oh, that's our golden boy." Me? I was the background. If a table needed carrying, I carried it. If a bill needed a name, it was mine. This year, my birthday landed on a Saturday between runs. I had a 34-hour reset, so Mom, ever so sweet, insisted, "You can rest here, honey." Which, of course, meant I'd be driving out to the suburbs instead of napping in my sleeper. I didn't argue. I brought a store-bought cake because money was tight, and Ethan conveniently forgot his wallet. I also brought paper plates because, as always, I was the one who remembered the things everyone else forgot. Inside, the house smelled like lemon cleaner and roast chicken. A plastic tablecloth with balloons taped to it dressed the dining table. Ethan arrived late, wearing sunglasses indoors, carrying nothing. He immediately launched into a story about networking at some bar. His son, Max, who's 5, was running around in the dinosaur socks I bought him last Christmas. He loved those socks. We did the song. I blew out the candles. I cut the slices. I handed out plates. The last piece had my name in blue frosting. I held it out for Max. "Happy birthday, buddy," I said. He looked at Ethan for a cue. Ethan just smirked. Max took the plate in both hands, turned it over like a pancake, and dropped the cake. Splat, frosting everywhere. On the tile, on my boot, even on the dog's ear. Max giggled. Ethan laughed harder, a loud, booming sound. "Eat it off the ground." Max chirped, bright and proud, like he'd just nailed a punchline. I didn't say a word. I just stared at the mess. Mom gasped, then did that tiny, nervous laugh she does when she wants to avoid conflict. Dad grunted something that meant absolutely nothing. Ethan shrugged. "Relax, he's just joking." But it wasn't the cake. It wasn't the mess. It was the permission. It was the look in Ethan's eyes, testing, daring. The same look I'd seen 100 times when he'd ask for a tiny favor that inevitably spiraled into a monthly payment. I grabbed a roll of paper towels from the counter, knelt, and cleaned the floor. The dog tried to help. I wiped my boot. I stood up, rinsed my hands, and said, "It's fine." "See," Ethan told Max, a smug grin on his face. "Uncle Alex doesn't mind." Everyone moved on. Chicken, potatoes, meaningless conversation. But something in my head clicked. Like a ratchet. Tight, one notch closer. When I put my jacket on to leave, Max waved. "Bye, Uncle." He looked genuinely sorry, his eyes wide. He's 5. He only repeats what he hears. "It's fine," I said again, but the word tasted like metal in my mouth. I drove back to the city with dried sugar on my boot. I parked the rig at the yard, climbed the ladder to the cab, and sat on the edge of the bunk. I looked at my hands. Steady. The cab was quiet. It smelled like diesel, old coffee, and the pine tree air freshener I keep because it reminds me of the only place I ever truly rested as a kid. The truck with Dad, engine ticking, windows cracked. That night, after I showered at the terminal and microwaved noodles in the lounge, I had no idea that Mom would send a text so formal it sounded like a letter from HR. I didn't know Ethan would tap a heart next to it, like a proud stamp. I had no clue my reply would light up the family group chat, like a blown transformer. I only knew the floor was clean, and I was tired of being the mop. People always want the ending. They want the screenshot, the big line, the explosion. But it's never just one explosion, is it? It's years of small leaks. I started driving at 21. Local runs first. By 25, I was doing long hauls. Me, a sleeper cab, miles clicking like a metronome. The money isn't movie money, but it's steady. You get good at making numbers line up. Fuel, per diem, motel, repairs, tires. Grown-up stuff. Boring stuff. My favorite kind. Ethan hated boring. He bounced between projects. A smoothie truck, a t-shirt brand. A crypto thing that ate his rent. Mom called them ventures. Dad called them rough patches. I called them my problem. The minute anyone said, "Your credit is better." First, it was his car. No down payment. Bad history. The dealer needed a co-signer. Mom called me while I was outside a warehouse in Des Moines at 6 a.m., half asleep, wearing a neon vest, holding a styrofoam cup. "Just sign, honey," she said. "He'll pay." I was 26. I signed. Ethan missed the second payment. The bank called me. I paid it so my credit wouldn't get hit. Then it was a business card, just for gas and supplies. Ethan said, "I'll manage it." He didn't. Late fees stacked up like pallets. I didn't see the statements until they were read and loud. Mom cried. "We'll make it right," she promised. Nothing ever got made right. I called and tried to get my name removed. Couldn't. It was joint. So, I closed it to new charges and started paying it down, while he kept saying he was between deposits. Then Dad's knee went bad. The hospital wanted a deposit. Time sensitive. I don't regret that one. I wired the cash. Dad cried. "You saved me, son." But years later, when I'd ever bring up any debt, someone would always say, "After everything we did for you." And I want to ask what everything was besides groceries and school and yelling at me to mow the lawn. By 30, my name was welded to three things. Ethan's car loan, refinanced once to lower his payment, which I still ended up covering. A store card he opened in my face because they had a deal. He charged a TV for the living room at Mom's house, where I don't even live. And a line of credit for inventory when the t-shirts were about to pop. The shirts never popped. The line did. Meanwhile, I drove. Nights, storms, mountain grades. I learned to nap in parking lots between reefer alarms. I learned which truck stops had decent showers and which ones smelled like wet socks. I skipped birthdays and holidays because freight doesn't care about holidays. When I did show up, I brought meat from a good place, a cake. I fixed Mom's squeaky door, I changed a bulb, and I let Ethan talk over me. We replayed the same scene. I provide, he performs, Mom beams at his brightness. Every ask came with a pretty bow. "It's just temporary. You're the only one we trust. You know we do it for you." The bow came off when I said no. I didn't say no often. Whenever I tried, Mom would put a hand on her chest like the idea broke her rib. "Family helps family," she'd say, which always meant me pushing the cart uphill while Ethan skated behind, hanging on to the handle. The year before the cake incident, Ethan's smoothie truck 2.0 needed a permit. He forgot a fee. Late penalties hit. He called at 10:08 a.m. while I was parked outside a warehouse in Bakersfield, the reefer purring, the clock ticking toward my hours of service limits. "Bro, I need 1200 by morning or they cancel the spot. I'll pay you Friday." "I don't have service Friday," I said. "I'm in Wyoming." "Just put it on the card. I'll handle it." The card was joint. There was no "I'll handle it." There was just me hearing the future in his voice. I sent it. Friday came and went. The next Friday came and went. The penalty showed up anyway, because he'd already been late before he called me. Max was born during that mess. I held him in the hospital while Ethan made a video for Instagram. "Welcome to the world, little king." He panned the camera to me and said, "This is the guy who will teach you to change a tire." I smiled and kept it in. I wanted to say, "This is the guy who pays for the tires you pop." As Max grew, so did Ethan's bills. He loved gear. New stroller, top of the line, then a gaming chair, then a phone for business. He'd slip and say, "Put it on our card," like my name wasn't welded to his impulse. I'd protest. He'd sulk. Mom would call. "Please, Alex. Your brother is trying. You know how he is." I know exactly how he is. He knows how he is, too. He's a man who treats trying like currency and expects change. There were small humiliations. Ethan joking at dinner about Alex and his little spreadsheets. Mom giggling. He likes to keep lists. The time Ethan borrowed my GPS because phone signals are for peasants and returned it sticky with soda. The time he used my fuel card at a gas station because I left my wallet, which triggered a fraud alert during a run and had me on the phone with dispatch at 3 a.m., explaining why my fuel showed up in a town I wasn't in. I started writing down every ask with dates. April 4th, $250 for permit late fee. May 19th, for $180, inventory emergency. June 2nd, $90. Can't get Max's meds till Friday. I sent that one, no questions. June 30th, $310. I'll Venmo you tonight. He didn't. Numbers don't have feelings, but mine started to carry emotions like bricks. On the road, you learn to pay attention to small signs. A vibration before a blowout. A smell before a belt snaps. Family has signs, too. Little things that tell you a breakdown is near. The cake wasn't a breakdown. It was a siren test. We all heard it. We all kept eating chicken like nothing was burning. That night, parked at the yard, my phone buzzed at 9:47 p.m. Mom's text landed like a formal memo. We've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away forever. No context, no preface, just a verdict. I could see the fingerprints on it. Ethan writes in drama. Mom copies his voice. A second later, Ethan liked the message. A little red heart next to forever. Cute. I typed a reply and erased it. Typed another, erased that. I paced in the dim lounge next to a popcorn machine that never works. The words that finally settled weren't a threat. They were a plan I'd been building quietly for months, too scared to say out loud. Removing my name from every loan tomorrow. I sent it. I set my phone face down. I made instant coffee. I didn't turn the phone over when it started buzzing. I watched the clock tick toward midnight while the screen lit up like a beacon I refused to see. At 12:54 a.m., curiosity won. I flipped it. The group chat was on fire. 53 missed calls. The same numbers, over and over. Alex answer, from Mom. What does that mean, from Dad? Ethan, you can't. Then you won't. Then you better not. Then a voice memo. I didn't listen to it. I put the phone back down. The cab hummed. I pulled the curtain. I slept like someone had quietly moved a pallet off my chest. Banks smell like paper and tired coffee. I walked in at 8:59 a.m. with my folder. I'd built it on breaks at truck stops, printouts, contract numbers, policies I'd read while waiting for docs. I asked for a specialist. A woman named Carla sat me down. How can I help? She said. I need to start removal wherever the policy allows. I said. Co-signer, guarantor, joint. I know the rules. I'm here to follow them. She nodded. We'll go one by one. We did the car loan. I could request removal, but Ethan would have to qualify for a loan himself or get a substitute co-signer. The line of credit, I could revoke my guarantee with written notice, which would trigger a review and freeze increases. The joint store card, I could close it to new charges and set a payoff plan. I initialed. I signed. Carla stamped. Every stamp sounded like a door latch. My phone vibrated nonstop. I let it. Carla slid me copies. You're doing the right thing, she said, her voice like an old bridge that had seen floods. I left the bank and drove to my parents' house because I knew the show would be there. I parked on the street. Mom's car, Dad's truck. Ethan's hatchback with a parking ticket under the wiper. Mom opened the door before I even knocked. Inside, in the living room, the TV was off for once. Dad sat clenched. Ethan paced, his phone in his hand like it was a weapon. Explain yourself. Mom snapped. I followed policy, I said. I'm removing myself from situations I never should have been in. Ethan laughed, a bitter, dismissive sound. You're soft. This isn't about cake, I said. My voice was steady. And I'm not soft. I'm done. Dad tried to be reasonable. Son, be practical. If you step away, you're brothers. His credit is his. I cut in. Like mine is mine. Mom's eyes sharpened. We raised you better than this. You raised me to work, I said. I do. You raised me to fix. I did. You just turned that into my job title. Ethan pointed at me. You loved it. Being the hero. No, I said. I love quiet. Helping was the only way to get some. He stepped closer. Undo it. No. He tried the line that used to hook me. Max will suffer. I looked at him. Your son will learn from what you do, not from what I pay. Silence stretched. You could hear the clock, the refrigerator, a car passing outside. Mom went for the jugular. If you walk away, don't come back. I took a breath. My voice stayed flat, steady, the way I get when I'm backing a trailer in the rain. You told me last night to stay away forever. That was emotion, she snapped. You knew what I meant. I know what you wrote, I said. I believed you. Ethan held out his phone like a mirror. You think anyone's gonna clap for you? Wow. Alex said no for once. You'll come crawling back when you need us. I don't need your approval, I said. I need my name back. I felt the moment arrive, like when the road levels after a long climb. I looked at each of them. My hands were loose at my sides. My voice didn't rise. This isn't about revenge, I said. This is about closure. Ethan blinked. Mom frowned. Dad's jaw moved like he was chewing a word. Closure, I continued, means no more co-signing, no more emergency transfers, no more joint anything. If you try to add me to something, I'll dispute it. If a company calls, I'll refer them to you. If you text me at 1 a.m. about a bill due at 8, I won't answer. That's the whole policy. You're heartless, Mom said, like a stamp. I'm tired, I said. And done. I turned to leave. If you walk out that door, don't expect to be welcome back, she called after me. I paused, not dramatically, just to put on my boots. You told me to stay away forever, I said calm. I'm finally listening. The first week was paperwork and quiet. I changed passwords. I pulled my credit report and circled the bruises like a mechanic marking dents. I made calls on my 30-minute breaks. I faxed forms at truck stops that still had fax machines. I learned which hold music is the worst, store card by a mile. I kept driving. Freight doesn't pause for feelings. Mom's texts came in waves. Day 1, you're making a mistake. Day 2, we can fix this if you apologize. Day 3, Max cried for you. Day 4, a photo of Max holding a crayon drawing. He'd drawn a truck. The caption said, he said it's yours. Day 5, call me now. Day 6, your father isn't sleeping. Day 7, silence. Ethan alternated between threats and jokes. Bank says you can't, bro. Be real. Then, okay, serious. Call me. Then, Max asked why you hate him. You owe us. LOL. Then, you'll fold. He even sent a voice memo at 2:11 a.m. I was on I-70, rain, wipers slapping. I didn't play it. I pictured his tone anyway. Smug, then wounded, then smug again. Dad called from a number I didn't know. I let it go to voicemail while fueling at a Love's. His voice was rough. Alex, I don't know what to say. Your mother is, well, I get it, more than you think. Just don't let it go so far you can't come back. He hung up like the phone burned him. Work felt different. My cab felt bigger. I cleaned the dash with a little pack of wipes. I made my bed in the sleeper, tight corners. I started eating better because the churn in my stomach finally stopped. Eggs and toast at sunrise. A salad in Nebraska that didn't taste like punishment. I slept more than 5 hours at a time. My logbook looked normal instead of chaotic. On a reset in Cheyenne, I sat at a truck stop counter with a plate of meatloaf and a waitress who called everyone honey. An old guy with a faded cap asked what I drove. We talked gear ratios and mountain passes. It felt human in a way my family talks haven't felt in years. No angle. No ask. Midweek, Carla from the bank called. Update, she said. Joint store account closed to new charges. Here's your payoff plan. Line of credit guarantee revoked. There will be a review. Car loan, 30 days for the primary to qualify or find a co-signer. Thank you, I said. I meant it. A real thanks. Not the kind I give when someone hands me a problem. That night, Mom sent a paragraph about wolves and packs. You don't leave family in the snow, she wrote. I typed, deleted, typed again. I landed on the plain sentence I could live with. Love doesn't require debt. I won't carry yours. Send. There was a new silence after that. The kind where you hear your own life. I filled it with simple things. A call to my dispatcher to take one less weekend run. A trip to a hardware store to buy a decent lock for my apartment door because I finally planned to be there. A cheap gym membership with showers I liked. Ethan showed up at my place once. He buzzed until a neighbor let him in. He knocked like the building owed him. I opened the door, but left the chain on. Open up, he said. We can talk like this, I replied. He smirked. You think a chain stops family? It stops you. He rolled his eyes. Car's up in 2 weeks. They'll repo it. You'll ruin me over pride. Get a cheaper car, I said. Take the bus. Work near home. I have a son, he said, like it was a trump card. So did Dad, I countered. He still worked. And he didn't add Grandpa to his cards. His face twitched. He went for pity. Just co-sign one last time. No. Say it nicer, he said, half laughing. I won't, I said. And I won't explain it again. He leaned in close to the chain. You'll regret this. I didn't flinch. Better than living as a wallet, I told him. He laughed without humor, called me something small, and left. His footsteps on the stairs sounded like a kid sneaking out. 2 days later, Dad texted. Proud of you. Don't tell your mother I said that. I stared at it a long time. I wrote, thanks. He replied with a thumbs up. It was tiny, but it was something true in a house where truth is usually edited for feelings. The notices started hitting Ethan. He forwarded screenshots to me with "fix this." I didn't reply. He tried one more trick, a photo of Max holding a paper that said, I miss you. I stared at it until my eyes went hot. I put my phone down. I said out loud in the cab, I miss you too, buddy. Then I said the sentence that kept me steady. Your dad can fix this. Not me. On my next reset, I drove to a lake and sat on a bench. No headphones, no alerts, just ducks and the weird peace of a Saturday without urgent in it. I wrote a new list in my pocket notebook. Tires next quarter. Dental check. A day trip with no miles. Normal, quiet things. The group chat finally slowed. A cousin asked, what happened? Mom replied, he abandoned us. Ethan liked it. Of course, he did. I looked at the word abandoned and realized it used to scare me. Now it felt like an empty box. I don't live in boxes Ethan labels anymore. I live in a cab with my name on the door and an apartment with a lock that clicks. A month later, the car loan deadline hit. Ethan texted. They said no. One last chance, please. I typed. Erased. I wrote. I believe you can figure it out. Not sarcasm. A handoff. Responsibility has to be carried by the person it belongs to. He sent a skull emoji. Then nothing. Mom sends articles now. Sons who forgive. Prodigals. Links with captions like, a good man doesn't keep score. I don't click. Dad sends 2-word check-ins. You good? I reply, good. He answers, okay. It's not a Hallmark card. It's clean. I haven't seen Max. That part hurts. I bought him a pack of dinosaur socks on impulse and stuck them in a drawer. I won't mail them with a note Ethan can twist. I'm saving them for the day Max is old enough to hear a plain version. Maybe at a park. Maybe in the back booth of a diner off the highway. Me with a coffee, him with a milkshake. I'll say, your dad and I grew up in a house where help meant you handle my consequences. I'll stop. I never stopped loving you. I used to think closure was a big speech and a door slam. For me, it looked like forms, stamps, and a week of saying no in ways that finally counted. It looked like not answering at 1 a.m. It looked like taking a walk by a lake and learning how silence sounds when it's not punishment. I still drive. I still back into tight docks in the rain. I still wave at kids who pump their arms from back seats for a horn blast. I give it to them long and happy. I still keep a notebook of miles and fuel. But I added a page at the back with a different kind of ledger on it. I wrote, my money is mine. My name is mine. My time is mine. No is a full sentence. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I read it at truck stops sometimes. Not because I forget, but because the old script still whispers, be useful or be nothing. That script gave me knots in my shoulders and a credit score that lived in fear. The new script is simple, be honest. Pay your own bills. Let other people pay theirs. If my mother ever says, we miss you, I'll listen. If she says, we're ready to stop using you, I'll show up at the kitchen table with coffee and no bitterness. Boundaries aren't a wall. They're a door with a lock and rules. People are welcome when they knock and wipe their feet. This isn't a revenge story. Nobody went to jail. Nobody went viral. It's the story of a truck driver who finally parked the load that wasn't his. It's about choosing clean floors over sticky jokes. It's about looking at a 5-year-old parrot a line and deciding the echo stops with me. My name is Alex. I'm 33. I drive a rig with my name on the manifest and my hands on the wheel. My phone is quieter. My sleep is longer. My boot is clean. And when someone tosses my piece of cake on the floor, I don't eat it. I go buy my own cake. I sit in my cab and I enjoy it with black coffee while the sun comes up over a calm, empty highway. Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with family? What did it cost you, and what did you gain? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your stories.